I'm literally standing in the shadow of the World Trade Center. They won't let me into the main memorial area. They say it's closed until 3 o'clock. I really don't even like coming down here anymore during 9/11 because it's really become more of a memorial to what a police state we are now. Cops everywhere, fences everywhere, you can't go here, you can't go there. It never used to be like that, by the way. 9/11, September 11th, 2001, it just changed the climate in the whole entire world. Suddenly, army and security everywhere was not only acceptable, it was sort of like, you gotta have that. And obviously the Patriot Act and everything that we've been talking about on Crowdsource the Truth for the past 8 years, everything would be different. I've thought about that many times. You know, the Trump assassination attempt, how the bullet missed him. Look at this, you can't even go down. This is even more restricted than it was last year. Yeah, I mean, I had a whole plan to start this broadcast over down in the Oculus thing. Why is this asshole following me? Hello, asshole. Anyway, we're not going to do that. So, yeah, there's the World Trade Center. You can just barely move around down here. It's a big pain in the ass. So,
I have two right here.
people are going up to the
You have tickets, sir?
to the observatory. I've done that in years past. I mean, it's changed a lot. It's changed a lot. But I've been, you know, obviously every September 11th, we're 23 years here. It's almost a quarter of a century. It's amazing, you know, that asshole police officer, Justin McLaurin, who assaulted me the other day, he's 24. He was 1 when this tower collapsed. These towers collapsed. Forgive me, I'm confused now by the... Can I go over here? Hi, you guys. Oh yeah, these are the counterterrorism cops that came about after 9/11. That's the, you know, what is it? Tactical Response Group? I forget what they call it. It's SRG, Special Response Group. So that didn't exist. We got an unprecedented, I mean really unprecedented, scandal brewing with Mayor Eric Adams, likely to go down in history as the most corrupt idiot to ever be the mayor. Super dumb, but man, what a thug. He's turned City Hall into, you know, whatever that butcher shop is that the Sopranos hang out at. Huh, look at that. That's like a mini instant Quonset hut. Special operations. I guess this is a super duper extended response today because of all the wars that are going on and the you know, people trying to kill Trump and all the terrorists that they let move into New York City. Now we got to spend millions of dollars on little lunch huts because we got to have all the cops here. Yeah, so I wanted to begin inside the Oculus over there, which is an insane sort of thing, but they won't let you in right now. This is all for your freedom to not be able to cross the street. But every 9/11, everybody is reminded of this horrible event. And of course on social media, there's a lot of people posting different stuff. There's a piece of information related to 9/11 that has been known, I think, basically since the day. And there's certain people who focus on it in a way that I think is not justified. I'm talking about these 5 dancing Israelis. Now, I don't deny that they were there. I don't deny that they were arrested, nor do I deny that they are Israeli and connected to Mossad or whatever they claim. The issue is, the essential claim is Israel did 9/11 and these Mossad guys are the proof. Hi. And the issue I have with it, it's not that I'm Jewish and you're blaming Israel for something. There's plenty of stuff that Israel does that I don't like. Same thing with the United States. It's that it's dumb and unsupported, unsubstantiated reach that only someone who wants to blame Israel could possibly cling to. And the only reason I'm saying anything at all about it is that many of the same ignorant people who would cling to such a weak theory are unable to discern the difference between the nation of Israel and any random Jewish person. So perpetuating stupid theories that don't make sense, that appeal to the bias of people who hate Jewish people, I have an issue with, because it increases the danger toward me. Because there's a lot of people who like to run around and say and do stupid things just because of the fact that I'm Jewish. This includes George's brother and the juvenile, Jew-hating jurist, Jessica G.L. Clark. Get the transcript, Dave. Give her judicial notice. Go send it to her. That ignorant bitch is going to be removed from the bench. Tell her I said so. This is First Amendment, okay? We got a real serious issue in this city. See, we got cops everywhere and we got a fucking asshole on the sidewalk on a skateboard. Get one cop to get that guy off the sidewalk. We're all in this together, but that guy's gonna go break somebody's ankle because he's gotta have fun. Sorry, I get angry when I think about George's brother. He's been stalking and harassing me almost every single day for the past 8 years because he's a psychopathic maniac. So see, this is interesting. If I can get to it right over here, I don't understand why. That's the other thing that bothers me about all these barriers, is that they actually don't even make any sense. You can come right over to this thing. They told me that you can't come to this. There's a lot of people who don't know what the hell they're talking about. So let's talk about these dancing Israelis. What are you talking about, Jason? Everybody knows they were there. Huge FBI documents about it. It's, you know, even the... I like this guy, actually. He is a social media influencer. He's very smart. I'm talking about Ian Carroll. I saw he had a post this morning. He's very anti-Israel, which is fine. People can be that. You have a right to have your own opinion. My issue is the spreading of this idea that this piece of evidence demonstrates that Israel did 9/11. It's an idiotic statement, because to me, these people were quite obviously planted to be caught. This is an FBI document talking about how they didn't recover a video camera or something like that, and that leads to, you know, sinister speculation that, oh, you know, these guys were, they obviously they had foreknowledge if they're in position to record the thing. I don't deny that either. The essence of what I'm saying is this argument presumes something inherently contradictory that I do not believe could be possible. It presumes that Israel and the Mossad are simultaneously so ingenious that they could defy the CIA, the FBI, the US military, every single entity that is designed to prevent a horrific incident like this. They're smart enough to do that, but they're so stupid that they hire these 5 guys who are dancing around in public, getting recorded and caught. I mean, it's just absurd. It reeks of those guys being placed there specifically to be caught. Now, who would be motivated to do that? Well, I would argue that it's the real perpetrators of the crime, and that their motivation is to blame it on somebody else. Where have we ever seen that occur? Does this eyewitness testimony of 5 guys in a van dancing around and high-fiving in very obvious plain view, I think multiple people saw them and called 911. Doesn't it sound a lot like a bunch of cops chasing some skinny idiot, or 3 different ones dressed up the same way, around a low-lying building in the middle of a field? Why is it that we have all these reports about Thomas Crooks? We have videos of somebody dressed like Thomas Crooks walking to American Glass Research. All this attention to Crooks. Oh, where did it go? all this attention on crooks, everybody talking about crooks. Chris Martenson, every time he mentions the roof, it's crooks, it's crooks, it's crooks. How is Chris Martenson getting documents from somebody, Moahay, in the Beaver County District Attorney's Office? And why is he receiving them one day after I start publishing unredacted documents? It's all very curious, but this distracting your attention away to someone who obviously didn't do it is just about the simplest play in the world. So I'm very disappointed in Ian, not because he dislikes Israel. I'm fine with him holding that position. I'm disappointed that he's promoting a theory that is so baseless. Because, okay, let's explore this Israel did 9/11 idea. How could they do that exactly? Let's look at the photo that I used in today's thumbnail. It's an incredibly interesting photograph to me. I noticed today that there actually are some new higher resolution images, but this was the highest resolution image of this I had ever found until today. Look at this guy holding this aluminum piece of airplane in his hand. You got a red A on there. That's a part of an American Airlines fuselage. That's how their airplanes are painted. And then we see there's a big pile of airplane parts back there next to the fire truck. We've got this woman wearing a Nike shirt, and her pants are like 3 sizes too big. Does she always come to work wearing clothing that's way too big for her? So what the hell is going on in this photograph? I mean, it looks to me like it's staged. Because if a plane went into the Pentagon, why would there be loads of plane parts hanging out all the way back there? You know, by the, oh, we can't really see it in the thumbnail. But why do we have all these plane parts hanging back by the corner of the building? This piece is totally clean. No dirt, no flame marks, no burn marks, not even a grass stain on that thing. But you can see the red A right close to where his hand is. This looks to me like a prop. And then back here, we got a pile of props. See the red C? That's another America, you know, they saved weight on American Airlines by not painting most of the plane, having it mostly be sort of bare aluminum. I remember I was quite impressed by this when I saw it. I saw a statistic of how much all the paint it takes to cover a plane, you know, how much that weighs. And it's a lot, obviously, so American Airlines was saving weight by only painting the logo and I think 2 stripes. So that picture seems fake to me. Did those 5 Israeli guys somehow bring a load of torn up American Airlines parts to the Pentagon and stage them there so that all these FBI people could say, wow, it seems like terrorists crashed into the building? Or was this whole thing an elaborate scheme perpetrated by the same exact bureaucratic deep state that appears to have attempted to murder Donald Trump and is currently lying to us about that? I don't know, but people can kind of decide for themselves. I hope that people will sponsor the show. You could sponsor Crowdsource the Truth on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth. That's the most economical way to do it. It's only $3 a month plus a 58-cent Odyssey fee. It's less than buying one newspaper, and you're getting all kinds of new videos. You get access to sponsor-exclusive content. You can also subscribe on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com or subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I guess people now know that my mystery guest yesterday was going to be Alex Stein, number 99, a really funny and nice guy, but unfortunately he was assaulted, I think inside City Hall. I saw he released the video earlier today. I have not yet had a chance to watch that. I was in touch with him last night and he was okay when he left, but unfortunately our operative was going to be epic. It would be a walk around with Alex Stein. He wanted to go back to the Walcott Hotel, but I told him I didn't think that was safe for him to do with me with him. But anyway, it didn't work out. Could you please not ride that on the sidewalk, please? Fucking asshole. But anyway, as I was saying, let's continue to explore this mystery of 9/11. Oh yeah, there's another thing. So this woman with the Nike shirt, I find it weird. I don't know anybody who comes to work. Look at the cuffs on her pants. Why would this woman come to work wearing a triple XL t-shirt, pants that are 4 sizes too big, and the shirt says Nike? So, I mean, maybe that's normal, right? Nike, everybody knows Nike. It's a big brand. You buy a t-shirt, says Nike, so what? But is that how the FBI comes dressed to work? Or if they call you and say, hey, you got to go dig around in the dirt, you're not going to wear a suit today, but just you leave your house, you put on some clothes. Does that woman have lots of new clothing in her house that's several sizes too large? Or is this thing somehow staged? It's interesting that it says Nike because, another thing that our good friend David Hawkins used to tell us about is some of the strange coincidences related to the murder of that little girl, JonBenet Ramsey. This is the ransom note that was given to her parents. And remember, her father, John Ramsey, he had sold his company to Lockheed Martin, and it was now a subsidiary of Lockheed. And he had just received a bonus of $118,000, which is the exact amount of ransom that this note was seeking. And then we see right there, it says, the last line in the thing, it says SBT Victory. Hawkins was fascinated by this. We've never figured out what SBTC stands for, but the fact that it says victory there, it's super interesting because I also found that when we look up Nike, it means victory. Nike was the goddess of victory. So I don't know, is that a coincidence that the note is signed victory and the person in that photograph is wearing a shirt with the same note, victory? Is that a steganographic message to someone, letting them know that we did this? Did those 5 Israeli guys provide the wardrobe to this FBI woman? By the way, all of this could be wrong. This is my opinion that you're free to disagree with, ignore. You might look at the same evidence and come to a different conclusion. That's what I'm doing with the evidence that Ian used to determine, as a supercharged Bentley. That's what I'm doing with the evidence that Ian used to determine that Israel did 9/11. He looks at that evidence, he determines Israel 9/11. I say no. I think that's the real perpetrators of 9/11 hired 5 Israeli guys to get caught on camera, just like they're giving us all these videos of Thomas Crooks and saying, Thomas Crooks, Thomas Crooks, Thomas Crooks. They want to convince you of that. I don't see evidence that convinces me. I see evidence that contradicts that. Let's keep going. I found this today, and it does seem like higher resolution images of the photos are coming out now. Let's look at this hole in the Pentagon. Did Israel do this? I don't know. It's pretty round. It looks a lot different to me than the holes in the World Trade Center. And there's a lot of people who are going to say, oh, Jason, there were no planes. The whole thing was visual effects. No, that's incorrect. And I did a very detailed breakdown of that faulty conclusion in one of the last videos I ever did with Ole Damagard. I was very disappointed in Ole, another guy who hates Israel and used to remind me all the time about how many people tell him I'm Mossad and what a risk he's taking doing shows with me. In the end, I'm overall very disappointed in Ole Damagard. He does some interesting things, but he behaved very strangely and he interacted with Robert David Steele in a way that causes me not to trust you, Ole. Acapulco, Ole. What the hell is going on there? He's probably not going to see this, and it doesn't matter. I'm not threatening Ole. He's a nice guy. I think he lied to me. I think he's a social engineer. Because after we did this video where I explained to him how the visual effects theories are all posited by people who don't know a single thing about visual effects. And they are not able to explain the anomalies that they see. They just point them out and say, that means it's visual effects. I don't want to go into the whole explanation right now, but people can see that video on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth. It's called September Clues. And Ole told me there's this movie, September Clues, that explains how it was visual effects. I watched the whole movie. It was wrong. It was made by a person who doesn't know anything about visual effects, never heard of optical flow, did not know what sort of artifacts are created when you attempt to artificially generate slow motion video from 30 frames per second video. But as I said, anyway, people can go look at that on Odyssey. And Ole, when I got done with this extremely detailed technical explanation that provided an overview of every single aspect of what people were seeing and explained it in a way that nobody present on the call could say, oh, that's wrong, Jason. That's not how optical flow works. That's not an artifact that would be created if you tried to do this. No one could say that because that cannot be said. My interpretation of the evidence is correct. So this lady's not paying attention as her young kid rides around a thing. Old guy like this could get crashed into and never walk again. They don't care. She's got a phone to look at and little kids to roll around in the street while she shops for dirty fruit. So let's carry on. It's a little difficult to see the screen with all this sun. Yeah, right, the shape of the hole. So the hole in the Pentagon, it's like totally round. And that doesn't make any sense to me. Because look at this, here is a video, and this is incidentally one of the ones that was slowed down in September Clues. Now I'm just going frame by frame here. I'm not using optical flow to alter pixels and create artificial slow motion. I just want people to see how when the plane hits, it creates an elliptical shaped hole in the building. The hole matches the shape of the plane. And people will say, no, the building is made of steel and concrete. And the plane is made of aluminum, it would crush like a tin can. That is also incorrect. Because people who say that don't understand kinetic energy and what force is. I believe it is 1/2 the mass of an object times its velocity squared. Meaning, if I took a pillow and handed it to you, and you rested your head on it, it is soft and comfortable and you could fall asleep. If I picked it up and pow, hit you in the head with it, we'd be in the pillow fight, and it could be playful and fun. Uh-oh. Again, happy sound. There we go. If you get hit too hard with a pillow in a pillow fight, maybe this has happened to you. You might say, hey, ow, don't hit me so hard. It's because if somebody really winds that thing up and bam, smacks you in the face, it hurts. Because it's the same mass, but as you accelerate it, the kinetic force becomes tremendous. Now, if you took that same pillow and launched it out of an air cannon at somebody's face traveling 500 miles an hour, what do you think would happen? If you somehow had a way of accelerating a pillow to 3,000 miles per hour, hypersonic speed, and then you fired it at that brick building, what do you expect would happen? Would it bounce off like throwing a handful of feathers at it? Or might it knock out the bricks? So what I'm saying is, when a plane is going 580 miles per hour, which is what the radar data from the official 9/11 report tells us that jet that hit the South Tower was doing, even the tips of the wings are generating so much kinetic force that they absolutely would cut through a building. And by the way, just because it's made of concrete and steel, imagine if we took a piece of steel and we made it 1/16 of an inch thick. And then you fired a pillow going 500 miles an hour or 3,000 miles an hour. What do you think would happen? The World Trade Center is not a solid block, or it wasn't a solid block of concrete. It was steel slats, concrete floors. It was a complex and unique type of construction But obviously it couldn't withstand the kinetic force of a plane hitting it. In fact, one of the original designers even said the steel lattice that made up the outer support structure of the building was designed to behave like a screen door in the event that a plane hit it. A pencil going through a screen door. So what would that do? It would push out the area of the screen that it hits, but maintain the overall integrity of the front face of the screen so that the building wouldn't collapse. That is what that was designed to do, to absorb a projectile like that, and that is what we see happening in that video, in my opinion. We see an incredibly heavy piece of mass traveling nearly at the speed of sound, crashing into the building like a gigantic bullet. And it makes that elliptical shaped hole very, very different than what we see in the Pentagon. The other thing I'd like people to notice is look at all that burn, char, smoke, fire, all that stuff up above the top of the hole. Well, from your own life, you know that fire only goes up, right? I mean, unless you have like a gas jet shooting it in a direction. If you light something on fire, it creates smoke, it goes up, right? So to me, that looks like something pretty round, something that did not have, wings and giant stainless steel engines with titanium and all kinds of heavy, crazy moving stuff. Didn't really seem like that. It's just a big hole in the center of the thing with a big burn mark going up, almost like the moment something hit the front of it, it exploded. A giant incendiary event occurred, creating a lot of fire and heat, charring that top section of the building. It's different than what happened with the plane and the World Trade Center. The plane that enters the World Trade Center, it just it gets engulfed. I've heard a lot of people say it looks like a knife going through butter. I agree, it does. I've asked physicists how much kinetic energy something like this would generate. And I've discovered that asking a physicist a question like that is like asking a doctor or a lawyer a question they don't really want to answer because it's just so difficult to determine. The point is a lot of kinetic energy. So it goes in there and then explodes inside there. We don't see the same sort of flame and fire and charring at the top of the hole that we see right here. This looks like a massive explosion occurred at the moment of entry there, and that explosion might have played a role in the kinetic energy of the munition passing through the building. And remember, in the Pentagon, whatever hit it went through 6 walls of concrete. And the Pentagon is a hardened military bunker. The World Trade Center is an office building. So if an airplane going 580 miles an hour hits the south face of the World Trade Center, why didn't it shoot out the other side? There's nowhere near as much dense concrete in the World Trade Center as there was in the Pentagon. It's strange. And we don't have a lot of other examples of jet airplanes crashing into buildings that we can compare, but there are 2, and they're very different. So what else about these planes don't make sense? I'm jumping back and forth a little bit, but so let's stay on the Pentagon. I really do believe it was some sort of missile, right? We've been talking about David Hawkins a lot, and we should. 9/11 was one of his favorite topics to discuss. David was intrigued by unsolved mysteries, complex crimes with unique technological signatures, things that couldn't be done without specific technologies, and then finding the technology that can do that thing. It might explain something, because if you're not aware of a technology, its functionality might seem like magic, but once you know about it, it could become rather mundane. So one of the patents that David had identified was this one here for a rocket-boosted, guided, hard-target penetrator. And that is a rocket-propelled bomb Here's a picture of it. And it's, you know, it's filled up with explosives. And it's got a fuse so that the second you can read that, you know, the fuse, the second the tip hits, there's a massive explosion. And there's explosive ordnance. It just, you know, it explodes, and the kinetic energy of the weight of the thing drives it through. This is a bunker buster bomb. It is designed to go through hardened targets, concrete, steel, military bunkers that you want to penetrate. You're using a rocket-propelled, hard target, you know, boosted, whatever the hell that thing was called. And then people say, no, Jason, that's a bomb. That couldn't do it. You have to drop that from a B-52 or whatever. Some people might say that. And to that, I say, well, there always is some other type of technology. There's something called a JDAM, which is a joint direct, what is it? Maybe advanced munition or something? Oops, sorry, that's not the JDAM. Here's the JDAM. What it is that you can take a dumb bomb and replace the rear section and give it a guidance thing. There's other versions of this type of technology as well. The purpose is to take a typical dumb munition. Oh, I wanted people to see that part. Sorry, let me run it again. The purpose is to take a typical dumb munition, something that has no guidance or ability to guide itself, and add something to it that makes it so that it can be guided. This was developed because in the initial Iraq war, they found that laser-guided munitions were stymied by, look at how it turns like that. It's very agile and capable. It can move much more rapidly, and it's a lot smaller than a jet. It's just a, you know, you've seen a missile. It's like a tube just flying through the air. It can zip around and do all kinds of things that a big giant jet cannot do. But these JDAMs and these types of GPS-guided smart munitions were developed because they were realizing that laser-guided munitions had certain limitations in foul weather and other conditions. But the point is, this technology existed. You saw that patent was issued in August of 2001. And of course, you've been testing the thing for quite a while before your patent gets issued. So it's not a matter of like, oh, they just got it, how could they use it in September? They would have a lot of these things. And I mean, listen, you might use some of the technology we're contemplating in the Donald Trump assassination attempt might be experimental. It might not even be patented. But well, how, Jason, would you get that bomb into the Pentagon? I allege it would have been dropped out of the back of a Boeing 727. And I make this allegation because it's the only aircraft that can open a rear door. People who are familiar with D.B. Cooper will remember this is his favorite type of aircraft. But the plane can slow down and drop things out the back, and it can maintain, it's got a very low stall speed, and it's extremely stable at low speeds. So it could have flown over the Pentagon, released a JDAM or similar technology, equipped, rocket-boosted, hardened penetrator, and that could have been guided right into the building, where it would have smashed a round hole into the wall, created a huge explosion, and penetrated 6 walls of concrete. Again, these are hypotheses, but I'm looking at the evidence and trying to explain all of it. I'm not just deciding that there were 5 Israeli guys there, so they must have done everything that could be done. Now, oh, yeah, this is what I wanted to show people. This is the NTSB official flight path study of American Airlines Flight 77. That's the aircraft they allege crashed into the Pentagon, piloted allegedly by Hani Hanjour. There's the flight path. Look at that turn. That is the final turn that it made. That looks to me like a plane flying over releases a bomb that says, oh, wait a minute, we're going to miss the target. I got to circle back. And the missile can do that. The plane cannot. This is data from the NTSB. I'm not making this up. So how did they get that? I mean, I don't know. Somebody tell me, can you put a radio transponder from a plane onto a bomb and turn it on and trick some air traffic controlling computer into thinking that a flying missile has the same radio transponder as a plane? I feel like you could. I feel like somebody could. I don't know how to do that, but it strikes me as the type of thing that could be done. Could Israel do that? Could those 5 guys? Can I ask you to take this off the sidewalk? Can I ask you politely not to ride a bicycle on the sidewalk? It's discourteous, it's illegal, it's dangerous. Could you please not ride the bike on the sidewalk?
I see you filming me, but like, do I look like the type of guy who wants to ride the sidewalk?
You look like the type of guy who's riding a bicycle on the sidewalk, and it's dangerous, illegal, and discourteous.
Aggressive.
Sorry?
Why are you being aggressive?
I asked you politely, and you're being an asshole. Don't ride the bicycle on the sidewalk, motherfucker. Go get hit by a car, okay? Have fun. Back to 9/11. Why do they always have to argue? I asked the guy politely, do I look like the kind of guy? Yes! You look like a fucking asshole. What kind of stupid question is that? Could the 5 Israeli guys fly a 727 without Washington, D.C., air traffic control, or the Air Force, or the Pentagon, or anybody finding out about it? Could they do that? Maybe, I don't know. I don't know how they would. I feel like somebody in our government probably could. Seems more likely to me. Are you NYPD, sir?
Traffic enforcement, sir, yes.
And this hairstyle is compatible with the grooming standards for the NYPD?
It's religious, sir.
What's the religion?
Asatru.
Sorry?
Asatru.
I've never heard of that. Have a nice day. Has anybody ever seen anything like that before? What is that religion? Where the hell is that guy from? How long has he been on the force? What is going on? What is going on with the NYPD? That's a Rhodesian Ridgeback, eh?
Yeah, we're dealing.
Very nice. Now, wait a minute. Did Cecil Rhodes create that breed? Do you know? Doesn't know that much about Ridgebacks. It's a good-looking dog, but if it's from Rhodesia, I feel like it must have something to do with Cecil Rhodes. That guy's got some documentation he's looking at. Where's he going? What is this? Oh boy, here we go. What is going on in here? What is this facility? KSSO. Okay? What is it? I don't know what the hell she's saying. This is the Broome Street Academy. Something else to look into. Confused looking migrants walking in there. ADD is a curse and a gift. Let's continue. Okay. So, oh yeah, one final thing about the Pentagon. A lot of people have referred to this, I don't know, somebody did this animation, maybe the CIA, and they say, oh, you know, it's taking out the, I forget what their argument is, that somehow the hitting of the light posts, they show other videos where a plane hits a light post and it damages the wing. See, because the issue is, if a plane is taxiing on a runway and it hits a light post, it's going to damage the wing because the wing is moving so slowly that it doesn't have sufficient kinetic force to immediately knock out the light post and just totally overwhelm it with kinetic force. if the plane is going 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, how fast does the plane taxi? I mean, it's just going to dent the wing. And the problem is, once you do that and you change the shape of the leading edge of the wing, you can't fly that plane. A small dent on the wing is fatal to the aerodynamic characteristics. It'll reduce lift. But the point is, that's not the issue. The plane is supposedly traveling at least 580 miles an hour to develop enough kinetic force to smash through the front of the building. We'd have to look at that report to see what it says about the speed, but I think it was 500 and something miles an hour. Even if it was 300 miles an hour, the plane cannot travel that low to the ground at that speed without generating so much ground air turbulence that it would cause it to crash. There's something called ground effect. Russia, for a long time, was building these ikranoplan, these sort of sea jet planes that would hover at very high speeds above the water and take advantage of this ground effect. But that was a vehicle that was designed to do that. You can't just take a 757 and put it in the ocean and turn it on and have it hover above the water. The point is, those things are designed to fly at 35,000 feet, and when you fly, 50 feet above the ground or however high the Pentagon is, the ground air turbulence would cause the plane to crash long before it ever got to the Pentagon. So there's so many problems with the evidence as presented. It's just implausible. And to say that these 5 Israeli guys who got arrested prove that Israel did 9/11, it's just equally implausible. I'm happy to hear evidence that would prove that they did it, but I've spoken to all the experts on this Israel did 9/11. What's that guy's name? What's his name? There's some professor who's very into Israel did 9/11. I interviewed him one time years ago, and again, he presented all the evidence. I agreed with the evidence as he presented it. These Israeli guys got arrested. Benjamin Netanyahu has said a lot of callous things about how it's to Israel's advantage that the United States was going to go to war with all these Middle Eastern countries that he considered enemies. I don't deny any of that. That has happened. I just don't agree that that means what they think it means. I just don't think it does. I think they've come to the wrong conclusion because they have a bias that makes them want to hate Israel. By the way, I'm not hugely pro-Israel. I think the United States should stay out of all these things. I just have come to the conclusion that, asking the United States to divest itself from Israel is like asking a person to cut off their index finger. There's a reason they don't want to do it. They use it for very specific things, and they put it there for a very specific reason. So it doesn't make sense to me, because Israel, it's a tool of the United States. And I agree with the people who don't like the foreign policy of the United States that uses these proxy wars in foreign countries and cutouts and things like that. But that's my view of what Israel is. I've said this before. I think World War II was a deception. And that doesn't mean I think it didn't happen. I just think we've been lied to about it, just like Kamala Harris was lying to last night about what she expects Putin would do if something weird just happened there. She was saying Putin's going to go and take over all of Europe. That's idiotic. He's never said that he's going to do that. In fact, he said that he wouldn't. They don't have the resources to do that. Even when other former Soviet republics had said, like, hey, Vlad, we want to, join the Russian, Federation or whatever and have you protect us militarily, he says no. Because he doesn't want to do that. He's been very clear that what he wants to do is he wants to make Russia into a modern, fair market economy. Something's wrong. I think there's a loose cable there. I have to look at that when I get home. He's said it many times, and moreover, his behavior demonstrates that this is what he wants to do, and it makes sense from the standpoint of somebody who wants to run a country. The notion of marching all around Europe, doing war and killing people, it doesn't seem like the thing. Oh, really got a loose wire here, no problem. Okay, it just doesn't seem like the kind of thing any sensible person would do. And he's said he wants to make Russia a modern economy. He wants to be in the G20. He wants to trade with the United States and with Europe, and that makes sense. He wants prosperity. He wants people in Russia to have a good life. He wants to have money and a successful future. These are sensible things. Most people don't want to march all over the world destroying everything. Oh, wait a minute. That's what the United States has been doing for the past, maybe forever. All right, so let's there's a few more things here I wanted to share with everybody. Right, okay. So let's talk a bit more about the plane that hit the South Tower. Now, this is another image that I found today that I've seen before, but I've never seen one this high quality. Now, look at the detail we can see on the front of the plane. I remember when 9/11 happened and I saw this footage for the first time, I remember thinking we were looking at a United Airlines jet, because I believed the story about 9/11 at first. It's been a long time, you know? But I mean, like the day it happened, I'm watching this video, you see the jet, and I said, yeah, that makes sense to me that the jet looks kind of black against the blue sky because it's sort of silhouette, right? You've experienced that in your own life when you're in your house and people pose for a picture in the living room with the bay window behind them and the sunlight coming in, and then you look at the picture and they're dark because the light is behind them. It's kind of like every single time we do a video and Charles asks me, should I open the window behind me? And then he does and we can't see him and I say, no, close that. Sorry, Charles, I'm just teasing. Not every single time. He's gotten that down now. But my point is, you know, when the light is coming from behind something, it could make even a white object look very dark because it's shown in silhouette. Now, speaking of light and dark, I've got the sun smashing on the screen here and I can't see it at all. Let me get into the shade here. So the thing that's interesting about that new photograph that I just found this morning, which I think I've seen before, but that's a better quality one. And the reason why that is important is that I think you can really see the detail on the front of the plane. We can see that that's not a light colored plane in silhouette. That's a dark colored plane, and I can tell because you see details on the surface of the plane that's facing the camera. And also look at where the sun is. It's hitting the faces of the buildings that we see. So if that's the South Tower that this building is approaching, we're looking at the east face of the World Trade Center, and the sun is in the east, banging on that tower and banging on the surface of the airplane that we see in that photo there. So now you need to ask yourself, well, does that look like a United Airlines commercial jet? Or does it look like something else? I don't know. So I did find this webpage, which gives us the history of United Airlines livery, you know, the style in which they paint their aircraft. And when I went to 1998 to 2001, they had been for many years using this blue tulip or whatever they just called it. The whole bottom of the plane is blue and it's generally white and blue. Does that look the same to you? Because it doesn't to me. This looks like a much different aircraft. And I've mentioned it many times. I don't know if people watching now have heard it, but Boeing has a lot of different configurations of any aircraft that they make. And generally what they'll do is they'll have a kind of commercial passenger configuration, and then the same aircraft will also be offered to the military with different capabilities. You know, they won't have passenger seats. They put like a radar thing in there and people fly around and do radar stuff, or they have a tanker version where you fill up the whole plane with gas and then it flies up and drops out that hose, and you've seen those other planes come. This is the thing that John Merritt helped them invent. There's a stereoscopic interface for the guy operating that little pole that sticks into the jet you're trying to fill up with gas. And the reason it's stereoscopic is that the pilot's depth perception and ability to accurately execute that task is much easier and a higher success rate when the operator has stereoscopic teleperception. And my late friend John Merritt helped Boeing develop that. So anyway, one of the configurations that they offer on the 767 is called the KC-46. That's a military configuration of the 767. And by the way, once a jet gets sold to the Air Force, I don't know this, but I presume it's very possible that there could be classified configurations of it that aren't published, modifications that the Air Force itself does that might not be published or we might not know about. But my point is, configuring a KC-46 to be remotely flown, attaching, let's say, a depleted uranium nose cone to it so that the tip of the plane acts like a hardened penetrator to bust through the front of the building, all of that could be done. Such modifications would explain why on video we see the tip of the nose of the airplane come out the other side of the World Trade Center. I mean, in fact, if we believe, which I don't, but for people who do believe that a plane could travel through 6 walls of the Pentagon, it's surprising that the whole entire plane didn't shoot out the other side of the World Trade Center, but whatever. I think I still have, do I have any more evidence to share with people? It's tough in the sun here. Yeah, I mean, that's basically the rundown on what I put together there today. So, I mean, again, whenever we see these big detailed reports from the FBI, that's what they want you to be looking at and talking about. 5 Israeli guys got arrested in New Jersey or wherever, dancing around, celebrating at the destruction of 9/11, doing something so conspicuous it almost couldn't be missed. And doing it in such plain view and for so much time. It's like running around American Glass Research and sitting at the picnic table and taking out a rangefinder. You're doing things that you want. All those people saying, he's on the roof, he's on the roof. What? This guy had a drone. Why wouldn't he have the presence of mind to, oh, you know what, I'm gonna get there early and I'm gonna climb up the water tower. Nobody will see me. This is evidence that they're shoving in your face, that they want you to look at. So I hope that, I mean, I'm not trying to razz Ian. I like Ian, and he should investigate whatever he wants. He should come to whatever conclusions he wants. But I just hope that people who sort of cling to these ideas that, in my view, expose a very ugly bias, I just hope they'll consider the facts. And if they can refute any of the facts that I've offered, I will absolutely reconsider my position. In fact, I love it when people do that because it gives us a stronger hypothesis. I'm always trying to do that, develop a stronger hypothesis. It's the only way we can crowdsource the truth. You know, just resting on a given hypothesis, such as Israel did 9/11, is idiotic. What about the fact that we had 19 people who were not Israeli? Did Israel get the Egyptians and the Saudis? Why would they do that? Maybe they did, but those guys did a lot more prep. They went to flight school, they had apartments that were co-signed for by, I think it was Bandar or maybe his wife. This all came out in official reports. It's been admitted to, acknowledged. So did Israel do all that? Maybe. I mean, show me the evidence. I don't see how. How did Israel disable the missile defense systems on the roof of the Pentagon? Actually, I've spoken to that guy in the fire department shirt at a Trump rally. He was, that dude was down at, hey, didn't you and I meet in Collect Pond Park when Trump was getting convicted? Did I meet you before? Down when Trump was getting convicted, did I meet you there? Sorry, I thought you were somebody else.
You a Trump fan?
Yeah.
Oh, good for you.
What do you think about the assassination attempt?
Nobody talks about it.
I talk about it.
Well,
I've almost figured it out.
I say,
nobody know. A kindergarten kid could have done a lot better, but
I've got the names of all the police officers who were there, the drone operator who flew a drone. It wasn't Crooks. Crooks wasn't even there. Have you guys heard the name Maxwell Urich?
well, it doesn't matter because
That's the
media
shooter.
doesn't care unless you get yourself a station and promote it.
but I tell you one thing: if he wins, they'll try it again. I'm pretty sure.
I think you're right.
They
Try
will
it
try
again
it
before he
again.
Are you a Trump voter?
I don't really care. I mean, I prefer Trump over her, but I was just telling them I'm really struggling. So
Financially, you mean?
yeah, financially.
And how
So
about when Trump was-
At the end of the day, don't nobody really care about.
But
us,
how
man.
about when Trump was president? Was money better for you?
I mean, a little bit. He did a little something, but I mean, you know, at the end of the day, them politicians don't care about us, man. They don't. We
Yeah.
just general people, man.
Yeah.
They just want our votes and.
I hear you. I hear you.
That's-
Well,
that's
listen.
it.
Have a good day, okay?
right, God bless.
Be careful, you guys. The funny thing is that dude is wrong. After talking to both, they might be drunk, is what the problem is. But I definitely met those guys. Anyway, yeah. It's so. I mean, today is a nice sunny day. Definitely nicer than yesterday. So it's good to be out walking around. Oh yeah, here is this garbage condo complex. It's pared down a bit. No, that's somebody different. And then I think, is this an electric one? No, regular. Well, let's see, did I get into the whole story about, oh yeah, right, we can talk a little bit about what I was saying about the juvenile Jew-hating jurist, Jessica G.L. Clark, a woman who should not be a judge, demonstrated incredible bias. And remember, she's the judge in Goodman versus the City of New York, in which I'm suing members of the New York Police Department and the city. It's too bad. I had thought of including Eric Adams, and I didn't. And in retrospect, that was a huge mistake, because obviously I think he's days away from getting indicted. And also a lot of people are saying he should resign, and he may resign. Ed Caban, actually I should check, I haven't even looked. Maybe he's already resigned, although I don't know if he would do that on 9/11. Well, we'll check that later. But we now have a huge, I would say unprecedented scandal in the NYPD for the mayor and the police commissioner to be caught up in an FBI, Department of Justice, Southern District of New York, U.S. Attorney's Office investigation. Has that ever happened before in New York? I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like that mayor, what's her name, who's making a reality show with Lori Lightfoot. Tiffany, what's that mayor, the super mayor? I don't know, for some reason all these mayors have just decided it's time to steal tons of money, but there's this restaurant called Con Sofrio, I think. I've been getting all these, retired cop podcasts now, just from talking about this. And those guys know a lot about what's going on. See, I like these old school NYPD guys. On 9/11, back in the day, I would pass a cop and wave. And there was you didn't even need to know the cop or speak to the cop. There was respect. Because the cops, even though they might have been rough around the edges and imperfect, they were doing the right thing. At least it seemed that way. This is a different generation of cops. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That kid who pushed me out the door the other day and is going to get sued, hey, are you the NYPD Intelligence Bureau?
I wish.
You're not?
No.
They drive Maybachs,
Get out of here.
It's what I said, and I was like, what the fuck? I couldn't believe it.
We're flowing the plates?
No, I just noticed that.
Oh.
I didn't mean to. What did you think about the Donald Trump assassination attempt?
It's unfortunate. Shouldn't happen in this country.
But do you think it's a 20-year-old kid climbing on the roof or something bigger than that?
Nah, I think it's a 20-year-old kid climbing the roof.
How did he build all those bombs in the van?
Well, they said he had an engineering background.
He went to high school. What kind of engineering background? He's building things on Arduino boards. with raspberry pies. Anyway, have a good day. Enjoy the Maybach. Yeah, people don't really think about this. You think a 20-year-old kid who's in an electronics class in high school, we see a video of that. He's in the Raspberry Pi, club or whatever, programming stuff on that little computer. What would you call a Raspberry Pi? It's like a development environment or something. But I'm saying that is normal to me. I know I had a friend who's, when the kid was 10, was playing with that. And I was like, that is great. This kid's gonna be a genius. But that's pretty normal. You buy that stuff for your kid when they like computers, holy cow. And you get a sense that they might be into, oh, they put a new supermarket here, that's good. We got something being constructed over there. But I don't know, bombs, where would a 20-year-old kid even learn how to make a bomb? What's the likelihood that he could do it successfully without blowing himself up? I just don't buy it. I mean, what's going on with this? Why did this person slow down? Drive dangerously in New York City. See, they had a construction piece in front of the Walk Don't Walk, and that woman pausing was throwing me off. So, yeah, this restaurant, Con Sofrio, is owned by the third brother. So Ed Caban has a twin brother who now, from listening to these podcasts, it's well known that they're extremely difficult to tell apart. And the allegation from one of these cop podcasts is that that is exactly what they do. The two of them go around pretending to be, this is an allegation, pretending to be the chief of police and telling people they need to hire various private security companies. I believe I don't think the official charges have been announced, but I believe what they're investigating is what they call illegal lobbying. And what that is the furtherance of private business interests, on behalf of the city, or, trying to get contracts with the city for private security companies and things like that. So they're going around to nightclubs and restaurants and basically shaking them down, is what it seems like there. But I wonder if the DOJ or the US attorneys, whoever is doing this investigation, first of all, I don't trust them, obviously. And the timing of when they did those raids, I look at this and I don't think, oh good, finally the FBI has come to its senses and they're going to arrest Eric Adams. I wonder if it's not, they say, oh crap, that annoying guy on the internet who people can sponsor on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth or crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com or subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. That annoying guy on the internet just exposed this, $80 million sham going on at the Walcott Hotel. Eric Adams screwed up. Get him out of there because we need to protect our important shams. Let's go arrest him for shaking down restaurants in the Bronx. I wonder if that's 80 million. I don't know. And by the way, I'm not sure that what I just described is what's happening. Maybe we do have honest people in the Department of Justice. I'd be shocked as hell. But maybe they have come to their senses. And maybe they are finally doing the right thing. I don't think so, but whatever it is that they're doing, Eric Adams looks like his goose is about to be cooked. Yes. Like a Haitian migrant in Ohio. And I think he's not going to be the mayor for very much long. Interesting character, smoking a cigarette while he charges up on the Wi-Fi point. Why do we need those? He's going to improve vagrancy for everyone in New York. So anyway, one of the brothers, the third brother, who doesn't look exactly like them, not a twin, he owns this restaurant, Con Sofrio, which from the descriptions, it sort of seems like the, what's the name of that butcher shop they own in Sopranos that they're always hanging out in and they have their meetings? And it sounds like that's what this is, because there's tons of news articles saying that Letitia James goes there. This is some crappy restaurant in the Bronx. And Letitia James goes there, Kathy Hochul goes there. What is going on? I mean, it's like Eric Adams has turned New York City into a crime family. And I don't think we really know the full extent of this yet. And by the way, I don't think that my randomly finding those army guys at the hotel triggered this to happen. I just can't help but notice the coincidental timing of it and just the extreme craziness of the behavior of the police in terms of assaulting me, antagonizing me, lying to me, not wanting to do anything to help that little baby. It seems impossible to presume that the cops did not know what was going on in that hotel. I encourage people to listen to my phone call with so-called Detective Johnson again. That is on X. So if you are not on X, please go on there and follow me at JG_CSTT. But you can go on X and listen to this phone call that I had with a guy who told me that his name was Detective Johnson. The next day I found out there was no Detective Johnson. But as I'm sort of laying out to him on the phone what it is that I want to report to the police, and I'm giving him kind of extensive details about what I know about this hotel, when I say to him, I want to report a crime, I say to him, are you aware of the Walcott Hotel? He pauses for what seems like a really unusually long time, 7 seconds, 10 seconds, I don't know, a really unusual amount of time that to me is suggestive that I've hit upon something that he doesn't want to talk about. And his response is not okay, or what is going on at the hotel. He's like, what about it? Like, you know, and obviously his subsequent behavior also indicates that it was something that he didn't want to talk about. You might even surmise that by telling me to go to a hotel at 10:30 in the morning, where perhaps he knew that there would be individuals resembling the description of dangerous Tren de Aragua gang members, might be there. And they might be engaging in human trafficking, and they might surveil me and get video of me. Now, I don't know if that means that the cops want those guys to kill me. Maybe they just want me to see them pointing a video camera at me and hope that that will intimidate me and get me to stop talking about this and get me to go away. The cops, NYPD under Eric Adams, they like to do that, intimidate people. As a matter of fact, as you start looking into this Caban, they say citizens got choked. I don't think they're talking about me. I don't think Edward Caban knows about me yet. Maybe I'm wrong. I did sue the cops. Maybe they find out about that kind of stuff. Maybe that's why they're such dicks to me when I call them and stuff. I think it's likely that the cops know exactly who it is when I call. I don't know, but we're going to find out. We're going to find out what's going to happen to Eric Adams. It's very interesting that Letitia James seems to be at least peripherally involved in this. Even if she's not involved, she's certainly not prosecuting any of them. So this all happened right under her nose. That's suspicious in and of itself. And here's the... I'm curious to know what people think about this. The juvenile Jew-hating jurist, the disgusting, vile, and ignorant Jessica G.L. Clark. Transcript, send it to her, Dave, if that's what you choose to do. I'm going to tell her essentially all of this in emotion because her behavior is unacceptable and her demeanor is unacceptable. She is unsuitable to wear the robe and serve the role of a U.S. District Court judge. This person, she's just so stupid in my view, she can't even read what's read on the page, even if it weren't for the unprecedented corruption in New York City. She still made a wrong decision by incorrectly interpreting my complaint. Anyway, I don't want to go into too much detail on this now. It does warrant and will get a counter lawfare report in the future, but the shock news that I just discovered last night after learning about this Con Sofrio restaurant Jessica G.L. Clark worked for Letitia James in 2023. This has the appearance of a conflict of interest. That's grounds for recusal. There's already been a final judgment in the case, so it's complicated. But this is how my life has worked for the last 8 years. I've had a mentally ill, wife-swapping, paperclip Nazi who's brothers with George Webb, pursuing me virtually every day for the past 8 years, putting together these complex schemes, communicating with the police, communicating, that is a weird looking dude, communicating with Orrin Levi, incidentally, who has been photographed, as you've seen, in the office with Eric Adams and Black Lives Matter operatives, including Hawk Newsom, Desmond Marrero. Oh, wasn't it Jessica G.L. Clark who gave $13 million from New York City to Black Lives Matter for burning down police cars? Is she part of the Eric Adams crime family? It appears that she might be. There's the appearance of a conflict of interest in this vile, disgusting, Jew-hating judge who is an ignorant, immature bitch. This is going to stay with her for her whole entire career. And just like Valerie Caproni, I'm now going to make sure that Jessica G.L. Clark gets impeached. She will not have a lifetime tenure as a district court judge. Criminals may not serve justice, okay? And we're gonna learn about impeaching judges. I got nothing else to do but this. And George's brother is a lot older than me. He's not gonna live forever. And by the way, he's gonna lose. He's very close to losing his ability to sue me. And whatever kind of schemes he comes up with, whatever kind of stupid nonsense he tries, I will figure it out and he will be stopped. It's pretty shocking stuff that I'm learning. Pretty intense corruption and criminality in this city. It makes me sad, you know. September 10th, 2001, the world was so much different. I guess I feel a little bad for a stupid idiot like Justin. Get the bicycle off the sidewalk, man. They're parking it there. So he comes up like 30 miles an hour. These guys are all so unsafe. That guy just like jumped the sidewalk. And see, this goes into exactly what I was saying about closing the weed stores. You see how quickly the cops can shut down competitive criminal operations. If you're not part of their scam, you're getting arrested. But if you are, well, then you're gonna get $79 million in city money sent to you by Molly Wausau Park. Oh, that's another person who George's brother has been writing to. He sends letters to all of these criminals that I am exposing. Why is he doing that? Is he protecting them? Does he work for them? Is he informing them of what I do? I mean, he's definitely informing them of what I do. That's exactly what he's done with so many other people. Is he just doing that for his own health? Or is he doing that because he's some sort of sentry or sentinel or attack dog or some kind of moron working for these criminals? I think that's what it is. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope people found this informative. We should mention Timur Khan, a friend of mine who lost his life in the World Trade Center on September 11th.
Yeah.
Guy never got to see his 30s. And we also should remember David Hawkins today. I miss you, David. Everyone does. He reminded us that Blaise Pascal would say, we have an obligation to think hard. And David always scoffed at this notion that the Jews did everything. Not because he was Jewish, which he wasn't, because he just found it illogical. And he hated that. Thanks for watching.